Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. Tonight I'm going to be talking about a show that I never really thought I was going to watch. I had a couple of friends of mine that were really big into the show and were always telling me, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch this. Now, we never had HBO back in the day when we had cable. We never had any of the premium packages, so I didn't really have an opportunity to do this until earlier this year. When we moved back to Houston, we didn't actually find this out until a year after we were here. We had the HBO app for free included with our internet, so we were able to watch Winter is Coming, my friends, Game of Thrones. Again, not something I would normally ever watch, but I have to say, after binge watching the entire series, really good. So we're going to talk about that today. If you've been enjoying my channel, please subscribe, hit the little notification bell up top so you'll be the first to know whenever I post a new video. I do try to do them on a fairly regular basis whenever I have time, but unfortunately, sometimes life gets in the way. 2020 has been crazy. We're coming up to the holidays. You mix that all in a blender, and free time is not a luxury we have in this world sometimes. Anyway, if you did enjoy, if you do enjoy this video, make sure to give it a like, thumbs up. Leave something down in the comments. Tell me something you enjoy about it, something you don't like about it. If you're a fan of Game of Thrones, if you want to tell me anything about that, go for it. So, again, this is a show normally I wouldn't watch. The reason being, I've always been a sci-fi guy. I've never really been a fantasy, Dungeons and Dragons type. I'm not hating on that, to each their own. It's just never really been my thing. Same thing with the Lord of the Rings. I never read the books. I never really got into it that much. I did see the first three movies, not the newer trilogy that they made. That's kind of like a prequel. Good movies, but I mean, my God, they were long. So again, I never really had an interest in this, but a lot of my friends were always telling me, "Hey, you got to check this out. It's a great show." Two friends, especially in Louisiana, were always telling us, you gotta watch it, you gotta watch it. Well, again, we finally get the HBO app, and we're like, what the heck, let's check it out. Good show. I liked it personally all the way through. The last season, just like How I Met Your Mother, just like so many other shows, there's all this controversy around the finales of it. You're not going to make everybody happy. I really didn't think it was that bad. Again, I never read the books, so I can't compare it. I don't know if that's why people don't like it. I don't know if it feels rushed or... I've heard all these different complaints about why people don't like it, but whatever. I enjoyed it. I'm not going to please the world. I'm not worried about it. I'll talk about it for what it is. So, again, it's a good story. One thing that kind of irks me, though, with HBO... This is going to sound weird coming from me. Like, they're so over the top and unnecessary with the TNA. Look, I'm a guy, okay? I have no objection to seeing beautiful women without their clothes on, okay? That's not what I'm talking about. But if you need that to tell a story, your story's not that good. What I'm trying to say is they could have omitted that completely, and the story still would have been great. Again, it's HBO. It's kind of par for the course, and, that's one of their trademarks. I hate to say it, for many, many years, so whatever. That's my little tidbit. That's my rant. Let's keep going. Since I didn't really know anything about it, and I'm not big on the fantasy, I didn't know how I would feel about it. But again, it started strong. It had great cast, great ensemble cast in there, many well-known faces, and the story was good. Of course, Sean Bean is in there, so you know what that means. Sean Bean is kind of notorious for what happens to his characters in movies. Again, I liked it. I thought it was a good story all the way. There were characters I liked, characters I didn't like. You end up rooting for certain factions in the story, and certain characters that you hate from the beginning kind of redeem themselves. There's other characters that you hate the whole way through. There's ones that you hated in the beginning, and then you kind of warm up to them. You name it, you got it. A little bit for everybody. My personal favorite character was Sam, the heavyset guy who ends up on the Night Watch and then kind of becomes a hero. And then Arya, whatever, Massey Williams, I don't like her personally, but the character she played, that was another one of my favorite characters. It's a very brutal show. A lot of violence, which, again, doesn't faze me one bit, but there are people out there that would definitely turn their stomach. There's just an awful lot of gore and violence, and again, the nudity, it doesn't bother me, but just giving everybody kind of a heads up if you do dive into the show, just prepare yourself. But the story was good. I think it was 8 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. We binge watched it all in a couple of months because we got really into it and really enjoyed it overall. The story is kind of interesting without spoiling too much. It's kind of like there's a battle for there's all these kingdoms, and there's land, and there's a wall that's supposed to keep demons out, and so there's all these warring factions, and just a lot of your typical human nature. People mistrusting each other, people betraying each other. Again, this is what we do. This is human nature. This is right up our alley. So I really enjoyed it. I liked the fight scenes. I liked the story overall. The special effects were pretty good. The dialogue was okay. There was some sluggish parts, some unnecessary parts in there. But overall, they're very satisfying episodes as well. Like characters I couldn't stand. You love to see them get knocked off. You just, from somebody like me who had no knowledge of the books and who had never really read up on it because it wasn't something I enjoyed, I went in with a completely empty palette, a fresh start. I didn't know what was going to happen. And I know that the books and the TV show are often different, so it was not surprising when certain things happened. You just kind of sensed them coming, but other times it was like completely blows your mind because you had no idea that was going to happen. So it was enjoyable. Again, not my usual cup of tea. Again, I'm more the science fiction than the fantasy person, but I would recommend it if you've never seen it. It's got a huge following, of course, many fans. It's one of the big things at Comic-Con these days, which all us, I don't know how I would refer to myself, can't really, a geek, I don't know, whatever you want to say, all us, we're all under this huge umbrella now where it's got sci-fi and fantasy and all this other different genres all kind of mixed into one. Again, it was one of those shows where you do get invested in the characters, not so much for me as I did with How I Met Your Mother, which is one of the shows I got like super invested in the whole characters, or the X-Files is another example, but definitely enjoyable. Again, I don't want to spoil this. There's some videos I do where I almost completely spoil the entire thing. There's others where I try to keep it spoiler free. But this is one of those shows I'd prefer everybody just kind of experience for themselves. The episodes can be a little long. They're about an hour or so each. Sometimes they drag, other times they fly by and you're left wanting more. But again, I would recommend it. I would say it was a really good show. I didn't know if I was going to get into it, but after watching it, maybe half of the first season, I kind of knew, like, oh, okay, this is what my friends were talking about. There is a lot of drama and intrigue and story. The sets, the look of everything was really good. Again, the only thing about the entire series that pissed me off was I felt the TNA was unnecessary. Again, no objection to it in principle, but I just think it was like used to so much of an extent, but I don't think that was as much the story writer or there's more HBO pushing because they want to push the envelope. That they're edgy. They think it's so necessary, and it's really not. So anyway, it's a series I would definitely recommend you check out. If you're into the knights and fantasy realm at all, it's definitely one of the better ones out there. A lot of surprises, a lot of things you can kind of sense are coming, but a good story from start to finish. I personally didn't mind the ending at all. Yeah, the last season does feel a little rushed, I guess you can say, in comparison to the previous seasons. There was some characters that I wish they would have went a different way, but it is what it is. Oh, one of the other characters I did like was the what's his name? I can't remember his name. Peter Dinklage's character. He was a great character all throughout, just a conniving little shit, but just he's one that I liked the whole way through, besides Sam and besides Arya or whatever her name was. But there's a lot of twists and turns. There's a lot of interesting things that happen. So I would definitely recommend you check it out. Be part of the fandom. And, I'm not super into it, but I will say it was one of the best shows I have seen. I'll give it that, but I'm not like as into it as I am with, say, Star Trek, Star Wars, X-Files, things like that, or Battlestar Galactica. But in all honesty, a great show. If you've enjoyed this video, I hope I didn't spoil anything for you. Give it a thumbs up and leave something down in the comments. Tell me something you enjoy about it, something you didn't like about it. If you're a fan of Game of Thrones at all, I'd love to hear from you. Tell me what you enjoy about the show, don't like about the show. If you hated the ending, if you loved it, you name it, just mention it. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Hit the little notification bell up top if you've been enjoying my videos. And I will see you guys the next time.